Hello everyone, this is Navin Kumar. Students, in this session we are going to study the lesson Watchman of the Lake, written by R.K. Narayan. R.K. Narayan, he is one of the finest Indian English writers. He is regarded as one of India's greatest English novelists. So coming back to this lesson, Watchman of the Lake, it is a dramatized version of his short story, The Watchman. So the story is taking place on the eastern base of Baba Budan Hills in Karnataka state. Okay, so there is a place called Sakrepatna. In that place, the entire story is taking place. And what is the time? It's 1,000 or more years ago. Okay, not the present time. So there was a king called Rukumanagada. So this Sakrepatna was his capital city. So this entire story is happening there. So who all are the characters? So they have given on page number 59 in your textbook: village headman, king, Mara, the watchman of the lake. So he is the protagonist, he is the hero of the story. Ganga, his son, Mara's son, and there is a name called Sun. He is Ganga's son, and Bhima is a road worker, and some other characters. So these are the main characters of this play. So in this session, what we'll do is that instead of reading line by line, we'll just go on discussing the highlights of the play scene wise. There are 5 scenes, and we'll just focus on the main incidents, what's happening in each scene, and like that we are going to study. And for this, you need to take the help of your textbook. In scene 1, we see road makers working under the instructions of the village headman. The village headman, who is rude to all the workers, repeatedly reminds them that the road should be ready within a day before the arrival of the king. When he catches some workmen laughing, he asks for the reason. He is furious to know that the reason behind their laughter is Mara hiding behind a rock. The headman orders his workers to go and catch Mara. When Mara is brought to him, he admonishes Mara for distracting the workers and reminds him that he had repeatedly asked Mara to keep away from the workers for the present and the king when he passed that way. When Mara shows his disobedience, he orders one of his workers, Bhima, who is as huge as a giant, to tie up Mara and lock him up in a cellar. Even when Mara tells him that he wants to inform the king about a dream in which he had seen the goddess, the headman doesn't relent. The village headman cautions Bhima not to listen to the prattle of Mara. So, what's happening in scene 1? So, when the play opens, we see village headman. He is giving instructions to some workers. And what they are doing, they are mending, they are repairing the road. Why they are repairing? Because the next day, the following day, the king of that kingdom, he is passing through that village. So that's why the village headman, he's telling that no, they don't have much time and the road should be ready. And he's very rude and he's giving instructions and he's very strict about his job. What happens then? A few workmen, they start laughing, and village headman, he gets annoyed and he asks what is the reason behind it. And then someone tells that Mara is there and he is hiding behind a rock. So Mara, as I said, he's the main character, he's the protagonist of this entire play. So the moment he hears Mara's name, he gets annoyed and he's frustrated and he tells his workers to drop all the equipments and go and catch him. So they just go and they catch Mara, and he is brought in front of village headman. And through the conversation, we'll come to know that Mara doesn't enjoy a high status in that village because he is considered as a mad person, stupid, a lunatic person. So through that conversation, we'll come to know because how they are treating him. So he is treated in a very bad way. And then village headman asks him, and he starts scolding him that I have told you many times not to disturb my workers and also not to appear in front of everyone, especially when king is going to pass through our village, because he wants that king doesn't come to know that our village has such stupid people. And the village headman once again he tells Mara to go away and be in his house for the next 2 days. And Mara, he tells no, he's not going to listen to him, because Mara wants to meet king. There is a reason why Mara wants to meet king, because Mara dreams of goddess. Okay, there is one goddess and she appears in his dream, and she is telling Mara to meet king and inform the king about her message. So that message, we will come to know in the next scene. So he has already told many people that goddess is coming in his dream and she's appearing in his dream, and there is one message. So many people, they think him, he's a stupid person, mad person. Even village headman also thinks in the same lines, and he tells, I'm not interested in your dream and all. You shouldn't appear before the king. That's what he tells. And when he rejects it, he tells one of his workers, Bhima, he is very huge person like his name, and he tells him to lock him up in a cellar. So, and also he wants that don't listen to Mara and his mad prattle, all his mad stories. So he obeys. So that's how the scene 1 ends. So in scene 1, Mara is locked up in a cellar. Let's see what happens in scene 2. In scene 2, we see the king passing by that way. But suddenly Mara jumps down from a tree and places before the king the vision of the goddess of his dream and her words. Mara says that the place where the king stood was a sacred spot, as Hanuman had come there in search of the Sanjivini to revive Lakshmana, fatally wounded in the war. The stream that arose from where the Sanjivini grew was Veda, and she was a plaything for the goddess. The goddess kept her in the shelter in summer and made her flow past the kingdom of the king at other times. So, if a bank was built for her even during summer, the king's subjects could make use of the water. The king is impressed by the idea that Mara has had the vision of the goddess, and he asks Mara to follow him to the kingdom. So in scene 2, what happens when king is passing through this village? Suddenly someone jumps from the tree in front of the king's convoy. And who is this? This is Mara. Somehow he comes out of that cellar. He convinces Bhima to release him, and he comes and appears before king. And king wants to have a conversation with him, but people around there, they try to convince him that he's a mad person. You don't waste your time. But king, he is very much interested to have a conversation with Mara, and he asks Mara to tell what he has to inform him. And then Mara starts telling about the dream that which he is getting, and what goddess actually wants to inform the king. So he starts telling story. Where exactly the king is standing now, it is the same place when Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, came and stood in search of Sanjivini. When Lakshmana, he fell fainted in the battle. You all know that the story of Ramayana. Okay, so when the war was taking place between Lord Rama and Ravana, Lakshmana gets wounded and Hanuman is sent to get Sanjivini. So in search of that Sanjivini, Hanuman, he came and he stood on the same place where right now King and Mara, they are standing. And he also tells that from this place he just flew onto the top of the mountain which is there. And there on that mountain, Lord Hanuman got Sanjivini. And from the place where he got that Sanjivini, where that Sanjivini arose, from there a stream flows. And the name of that stream is Veda. And the goddess which appears in Mara's dream, she is the guardian angel of that stream Veda. So she wants a tank to be built. Okay, in summer what happens, she maintains it in her shelter, and in other times she allows that stream to flow through this village so that the citizens of this kingdom can make use of that stream. But it is allowed to flow past through that village. So goddess wants a tank should be built by the king for this stream Veda. So she chose Mara to convey this message to the king. So this is the message Mara wanted to convey to the king of that land. And as soon as king listens all this, he calls Mara to accompany him the next day to his palace. So that's how the scene 2 ends. In scene 3, we see that a huge tank has already been built for River Veda, and Mara loyally takes care of the lake. He is watchful of people who come there to fish, but is ready to let the water for the use of all subjects. According to the law laid down by the king, he ensures that no one is harmed at the lake, not even the tiger that comes there to slake its thirst. We see Mara taking the help of his son Ganga to maintain the lake. When the scene ends, we see that Mara is worried about the rising levels of the water in the lake. So when scene 3 starts, it starts after so many years of that incident, the previous incident. So already a tank has been built, and who is the watchman of that tank? Mara, he himself. So he's very honestly he's taking care of that lake, and he watches in this scene what happens. One person he's fishing in that lake, and Mara scolds him and tells him that it is against the law of that lake, because king wants no creature should be harmed in this lake, even the tiger which comes and satisfies its thirst even in the midnight, so that also should be left unharmed. So no creature should be harmed in this premises. That's what he tells to that person who was fishing in that lake. So he's very obedient towards his job. So he is appointed as the watchman of the lake by the king. So he's getting the help from his son. His name is Ganga. So at that time, another person comes to get help from Mara, because his village is farthest in the king's domain. So water should be supplied from this tank. So he needs Mara's permission for that. So he tells, okay, let's discuss about that. And then at that time, Mara observes that the water levels in the tank, okay, they are rising above the danger spot, and it's going to rain very heavily because the clouds are very dark. So he assumes that tonight it's going to rain very heavily. That's what he guesses, and he gets inside his hut. So that's how the scene ends. The third scene, it ends. In scene 4, we see Mara at the palace seeking permission to speak to the king late at night. Mara, who is drenched in water and has mud splashed all over him, confides to the king that the goddess had appeared in his dream again and had warned him about weather overflowing the banks of the lake. She had not relented even when Mara had reminded her that it was at her behest that the bank had been built. Mara adds that the goddess seemed to be in a destructive mood. When scene 4 starts, Mara is seen outside the palace gate of that king, and he is seeking for the permission to speak with the king, and he is ringing the bell of that gate. And king comes and he meets Mara. In the beginning, he was unable to recognize Mara because he was completely drenched, and Mara tells that he is the watchman of the lake which he had built previously. And Mara tells that why he wanted to meet him in this midnight is because once again that goddess appeared in his dream, and she is in very destructive mood. Now she wants to destroy the tank which was built. Mara, in conversation with her, ask, it is based on your wish that we had built that tank, and now why you want to destroy it? And goddess tells that Veda is my plaything. I can do whatever I want. At that time I wanted a tank to be built, so I ordered you people to build a tank, and now I want it to destroy. So I'm going to destroy it in any condition. That's the dream that he gets, and that's the conversation he had with the goddess, and he requests one thing. See, the scene 4 starts right immediately in that midnight, where scene 3 ends. Mara gets inside his hut, thinking that it's going to rain very heavily, looking at the dark cloud. So this scene 4, starts in that midnight itself, because he already had that dream. He dreamt that goddess came and stood in front of him, and now she wants to destroy it. Mara tells the king that if the water overflowed, then the whole kingdom would be destroyed. Even as the king gets ready to inform his subjects about the impending deluge and doom, Mara tells him that there is one way of saving the kingdom. He says that the goddess had promised not to overflow until Mara returned, and the king could ensure that Mara didn't return. So Mara, in his conversation with the king, he is informing him that if that water overflows, if the water of that tank overflows, it can destroy many villages and also the capital city of that kingdom. And before king comes to one conclusion, and he had to convey that message to all his citizens, Mara tells one thing. There is one idea, because she is not going to stop. She is not in a mood to stop. She is going to destroy that tank. So there is one idea. I had begged her that till I return. So this is what Mara is telling to king. Till I return to that place, goddess has promised me that she is not going to destroy. So Mara has taken some time. Till I come back, you shouldn't do anything. You shouldn't destroy. So goddess is going to keep her promise. Till she sees Mara there, she is not going to destroy that tank. So now Mara is telling to the king, please somehow make this possible that I shouldn't return there. So what is he is conveying? So he is conveying that you should kill me with one of your weapons. You can kill me. So king gets shocked by this statement, and he asks, what are you speaking? So now he tells that for the sake of the entire kingdom, for the sake of all the lives of your citizen, I am ready to sacrifice my life. That's what he conveys to the king. And goddess is going to keep her promise, because she is waiting Mara to return. Until that, she is not going to continue with her plan of destruction. So she will be waiting. If Mara doesn't return there, she has to wait, and she will wait. And this plan, okay, of her of destruction, the entire tank, it will not be fulfilled, because she is goddess. She has to keep her promise. So that's the plan that he does. Thus, we see that Mara sacrifices himself for the welfare of the king and his citizens. His only request is to make his son the next watchman, and his grandson and great grandson after his son to be subsequent watchmen of the lake. So that's the request that he puts before he dies. That my son and his son, like that entire family should be the watchman of that particular lake. That's what he requested to the king, and he dies. That's how the scene 4 ends. In scene 5, the last scene, in scene 5, we see that Ganga is the watchman of the lake, and he narrates to his son when he took over his father's duty. From his narration, we come to know that the king had come personally to inform Ganga that his father was no more. The king had also asked Ganga to start doing his father's duty immediately. The king had also built a shrine with two figures, one of the guardian goddess on the top pedestal, and one immediately below it of Mara. By the king's order, worship was to be performed every Tuesday and Friday. Ganga remarks that scores of people since then had come from far and near to worship. Thus, we see that Mara, who was called a lunatic, stupid, by the village headman, was worshipped by thousands of villagers. So, when scene 5 opens, we see that Ganga, he has already grown up, and now Ganga also has a son. Okay, So after many years, this scene is taking place after many years of death of Mara. And then he's telling his son, Ganga is telling his son how he became the watchman of this lake. And when he tells that the day when he woke up after that huge thunderstorm, king himself he came to inform Ganga that his father was no more, and the king told Ganga to start doing his father's job immediately. And from then he started doing his father's job, that is watchman of that particular lake. And also he tells that to his son the king, he built a shrine with two statues. One is, the big one is the guardian goddess of that stream Veda, her statue is there. And on the pedestal one more statue is there, that is Mara's statue, because he sacrificed his life for the sake of that tank and also to the citizens of that kingdom. So from that day, many people, huge in numbers, they come and they worship. And king also ordered that it should be worshipped on every Tuesday and Friday. So from that day, many people they come and they worship both this goddess and also Mara. So Mara once, he was considered as a stupid person, mad person from the entire village, and also the village headman. He used to consider him as a lunatic, stupid person. Now he is worshipped by all of them. So Mara, in the beginning of the play, he was just a lunatic person, and now at the end of the play, he has become like a saint. He is respected and he is worshipped like God. So that's how the play ends. So in this play, goddess appears twice in Mara's dream. In the first dream, when she appears, in the first appearance, she is very polite and she is very kind, and she wanted that tank to be built. And when she appeared for the second time after many years, she was in totally destructive mode. She wanted to destroy that tank. And a question may come in your examination to compare the both the appearance of goddess. That's given in your textbook. That's the entire description is there. What is the idea behind writing this play, okay, or this story? So the story has rich elements of folklore. It also gives a strong message to the readers that conserving our precious natural resources is very important for the sustenance of life. Mara, an innocent villager, performs his duty honestly. During the course of second time, he had the goddess in his dream. He acts immediately to salvage the tank from bursting its seams. He never hesitates to sacrifice his life in order to protect the lake. The author highlights the ethical values attached to the beliefs and customs of our folk ancestors. So that's what he wanted to convey through this play. And another theme we can get from this story is that nature is both protective and destructive. It can protect us on the one hand, and also it has the power to destruct. So that is a theme that we learn from this story. So I hope you people have followed. I have discussed the highlights of all the scenes. Once, if you read the play in your textbook, you will understand it easily. Thank you.